I've been in tech for already close to a decade now, half of which as a founder, and this is the only video you need to watch to understand how you can go from a burned out developer to a founder. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Bago and I wrote my first line of code back in 2016 when I was part of my robotics team in MATLAB. 2017, we won the Los Angeles Regional, and that's that's me right there. Then I went to UCLA to be a part of the Elegance Mind Club to research the human consciousness, mainly use, I believe, C, C++, as well as Arduinos. Then went to NASA as a computer engineer. After NASA, I went into the public sector to join the Fortune 500 as a software engineering consultant, consulted for these companies, plus about 17 more. Went from junior to manager in 3 years with $250,000 salary, then quit to found AB Analytics, my own consulting firm. That's what I'm doing to this day, as well as go to CEO. And if you want to learn more about that, check out my personal website because I skipped a bunch of wins and even more losses. The goal of this series is to get to $1 billion. We are 990 million short, so we got we're 10 million, so we're 990 million still to go. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. As always, we're going to start off with some basic YouTube Q&A where I'm going to answer your guys' questions in the form of YouTube comments. So if you want to ask me a question, drop a comment down below. Then I'm going to get into the main topic of today's video, and then we're going to get a little bit into strategizing this channel as well as the main channel. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So first, your guys' questions. I believe we've only got 2. There we go. Aniket says, okay, that's not a question, but appreciate the comment. And then VSP asks, have you ever had occurrences where a lead was not interested in your services at the time, but many months later ended up coming back for help? In terms of keeping the relationship with those type of leads, how can you keep them nurtured if you have many? Yes, I have had such cases. Not too often, but essentially what you want to do is you want to maintain contact with the lead. So whenever a lead becomes a quote-unquote warm lead, right? Now I'm going to try my best to draw a fire symbol here. I'm probably going to butcher it. Okay, imagine that's a fire symbol, okay? When you first get this lead, this burns very hot, okay? Over time, it begins to cool down until there's no more flame and it's just smokes, okay? Your goal is to not let it completely cool down. Your goal is, as it begins to cool down somewhat, stoke the fire again, right? And then get it ablaze again along the way. The way you do that is you maintain communication with your clients. So if I, let's say, send a cold email campaign to a certain individual that says, not interested right now, or just not interested in general, most individuals take them off their mailing list. What I do is I send them to a different campaign, move them to a different campaign on a different time horizon. Usually what that one ends up doing is it's a month-to-month commitment. So all the way up to a year. Instead of every 2 days, I send follow-ups. I'll send it one time every month. Nevertheless, I am nurturing these individuals, right? I'm stoking the fire because down the line, I know for a fact that they at least somewhat showed a little bit of interest. Okay. Now, if it's the type where they literally tell me not interested, leave me alone, stop bothering me, I'm going to remove them from my list. But it's the type where it's like, not interested right now, maybe in the future we'll keep your contact info, blah, 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 blah. I'll put them in this type of a list. Have I ever had a case where they told me not interested, leave me alone, and they came back? No, I've never had that happen. I wish I did, but no. I have had cases though where they've said not interested right now, maybe in the future. I have had cases where they do come back later. That's how I would go about handling it. And then, how can you keep them nurtured if you have many? If you have many, put them in a flow. Either you can have a WhatsApp flow, you can have a text message flow, you can have an Instagram flow, you can have cold email flow depending on where your ICP is. Generally speaking, cold email flow works best. Something as simple as even a newsletter. If they say not interested right now, putting them on a newsletter or some type of sequence where it's 12-month thing, like a full year thing, and then you send out an email once every month or once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, depending on the cadence. Alrighty. I believe that was all the questions, so let's get straight into the video. Now, how do you go from burned out developer to an actual founder? Okay. The most fundamental thing you need to understand about being a founder is what's called asymmetry. More specifically, asymmetric leverage. Let me explain this, because this is the most critical concept you need to understand to be able to become a founder. When you're an employee, you're working at a 9 to 5. There is no lever you can pull to make more money. How do you make more money at a 9 to 5? You really only have two options. First option is to get promoted. Second option is to look for a different job and hopefully get a pay raise at that different job. Okay? These are the only two possible ways for a regular 9 to 5 developer. Now, are there some nuances? Are there some exceptions? Yes, but most of the time, the only way you can make money is when you get promoted because you're working on a W-2, so you can't work overtime and get paid. And if you're not getting promoted, the only other way you're making more money is if you change your jobs. Of course, this does not include bonuses, but even if you do get bonuses, it's going to be very minimal, and most of you will not get merit-based bonuses unless you're working at a quant or some other very big firm. Okay? Nevertheless, these are the only two ways you can really make more money. So it doesn't matter if one day you decide to pull an all-nighter. Instead of 8 hours, you decide to work 16 hours. If one day you decide, you know what, I'm going to work Saturdays too. So instead of 0 hours, you work 8 hours on a Saturday. This has no correlation to you making more money whatsoever, at least not directly and not in a way you might think. This might help you make a better impression to your manager, which might get you promoted, but it does not have a direct input-output formula where you can say for certain, for every 10 hours that I put in, I can get $1,000 out of it. There is no such thing. Now, when you're a founder, all of this changes, and this is what people do not understand. This is the most fundamental, critical thing. For you to make more money as a founder, there's not two ways. There's literally an infinite amount of ways for you to make money. Let me explain. You can get more clients. You can charge your clients more. Okay? You can charge your existing clients, if you have any. You can get them to stay with you for a longer amount of time, right? You can reduce the churn rate. There's so many different things that you can do. You can have a bunch of upsells. So many things for you to extract value out of individuals. And fundamentally speaking, when you're a business owner, you can decide to make more money by saying, today I'm going to work 16 hours instead of 8. Saturdays I'm going to work 8 hours instead of 0. And guess what? This has a direct correlation to you making more money because you now have an input-output formula. Okay? What does this input-output formula look like? It looks like something like this. Imagine you have a business. Your cheapest offer is $10,000. So one client to you is worth $10,000. To get one client, let's assume you have a 20% close rate, which means you need 5 people to hop on a sales call with you. To get 5 people to hop on a sales call with you, let's say you have a 10% positive response rate, right? So you would need 50 people to give you a positive response. For 50 people to give you a positive response, right? Let's assume 5 of them have to give you a response just in general, right? For them to actually see the email that you're sending it out. Comes out to about, do the math, what is that, 1,000? There we go. And then for 1,000 people, right? Let's say only you have a 50% open rate. That means 2,000 individuals you need to reach out to. So if you reach out to 2,000 individuals, you can make $10,000. That's your input-output. Now, of course, this was a little bit scuffed, but you get the idea. You have a strict input of 2,000 leads that you reach out to, and you have an output of $10,000. These are all dynamic values, meaning naturally over time you will get better and better, and these numbers will increase. Even you double one of these, this gets cut in half. Now it becomes 1,000. So whether you want to or not, over time, this input-output formula is going to play to your advantage. You're going to need less input for more output, okay? This is what's so fundamental. This does not exist in a 9 to 5. It doesn't matter you put in more hours. It doesn't matter you do more outreach. You will still make the same amount of money each time. Or you'll make more on a very, very marginal basis. So this is what asymmetry looks like. In other words, this is what also exponential growth looks like, okay? The human mind cannot comprehend and put 2 and 2 together when it comes to asymmetric growth. It is not logical, okay? Not in the way people think. People think if I put in 1 hour of work, I'm going to get 1 hour back, right? If I put in 1 unit of something, I'm going to get 1 unit out of it because our entire life has been linear. This is how 9 to 5 has been. Asymmetry is when we can put in 1 hour of work, change one sentence on our landing page, and all of a sudden our conversion rate increases by 5%, leading to, let's say, $100,000 more. That is asymmetry, okay? The human mind is not able to comprehend this properly until you've seen it time and time again and have experience with it. So for you to make the leap from a burned out developer to a founder, the most critical thing you need to adopt is a founder's mindset. And the founder's mindset is as follows. Your success is not based on time. It is not correlated with time. Because as we just discussed, due to the asymmetric leverage, even if you're quote unquote behind a certain individual, you can catch up to them because of this leverage, okay? This exponential growth. So success is not necessarily bound to time. Time is still important, obviously, but it is not bound to time. Success is bound to knowledge. It takes time for people to learn knowledge, which is why people often mistake success for time. But if you had the knowledge, instantly just upload it into your brain, you wouldn't need to spend that time because then you would know it. So the way people pay this knowledge gap, there's multiple ways. They do stuff, they fail, right? They go through experiences, trials and tribulations, or they pay somebody else, like a mentor, to fast forward all of that. But a founder's mindset is for you to understand your success is not based on time. It is independent of time, okay? Somebody can spend millions of hours on something and still not be successful if they don't increase their knowledge. This is what's referred to as a definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? So fundamentally, for you right now to become a founder is for you to adopt the founder's mindset and understand that your success is not going to be based on time. Your success is going to be based on knowledge, and that anything you do is asymmetrical in business. You spending 8 hours today discussing what problem to choose, discussing what industry to get into, what niche to get into, down the line might be 1,000 multiplier. So you at this very stage, getting into the wrong vehicle, choosing the wrong business model, choosing the wrong niche, might cost you over 1,000x. This is why, as a founder, especially developer turned founder, it is so important you build your foundations correctly. You spend the most amount of time on your foundations. You don't rush this process. Once again, the number one thing that you need to understand is asymmetric leverage, okay? That leverage is what allows you to be a founder. Mainly 9 to 5 employees don't understand that. All you really have to do is understand the leverage that you get with a business, that you can put in 1 hour right now, every single day, and you can compound it to a crazy multiple that you can't do anywhere else, okay? Now, when it comes to strategizing, let's take a look at our channel. Perfect. So our most recent video is doing better than the typical amount, obviously. Let's see our growth in the last 7 days. So we've actually been getting less views because of this one video that blew up slightly, the is tech dying one. In terms of our dashboard, it's a 3 of 10 that we scored. So we just need to make more videos, need to hone in on a proper style still, right? For thumbnails, we're still testing them out, see which one will be best. And also what type of overall strategy we want to go with regards to the videos. Do we want to keep it still answering questions? Do we want to make different videos? Like, do we want to have like a weekly thing where we answer all the questions in the end of the week and we leave the rest of the videos to just get into something like this, like a topic like this? That's what we're going to have to decide. But it's all about testing. So in the next upcoming days, I'll probably skip over the YouTube Q&A for now. I'll get into the main topic of the video. And then in the future, let's say on a Sunday or something, I'll make one video covering 7 days worth of comments. So without further ado, thank you so much for watching. And as always, have a good one.